Closing your eyes. And if that feels like you're not quite ready for having your eyes drawn in, you can keep your eyes open, just finding a steady point of focus. And even if the eyes are closed, turning your attention to your breath, finding a focus. Watching the in-breath and the out-breath. And feeling the in-breath and the out-breath. How the body moves, sways, like a gentle, small movement. But as we turn our focus towards it, it feels bigger. The swelling and the settling of the ocean. Feeling the movement through the whole body. All of your own ocean. Let's take a couple more breaths. So focusing on the lengthening of the breath and the completion of the exhale. Finding a cadence that works for you. Long, slow, smooth exhale, completing the exhale. Even feeling the transition between the exhale and the inhale. Slow it down, feel it. And then feel the inhale, the quality. The movement, the filling, expansion. And again, pausing or slowing down actually the transition between the inhale and the exhale. Following, feeling the movement, experience of the exhale. One more breath. Letting the breath bathe you, nourish you, and cleanse you. There's a natural shedding, releasing, creating space for nourishment. And expanse. Palms together in front of your heart. Just an acknowledgement of what needs to be released. Gently, easily, and in a time that feels good, and the nourishment that's to come in. Or is invited in. And let's inhale for one Om. Om. Okay, we are going to start on the floor. So just making sure you have enough room and enough cushion. So if you're on a harder surface, you may want to just lay your blanket down and then just lie in your X shape for a moment. And just breathing, feeling your back against the floor, the back of the arms, the back of the legs. And just doing a little bit of movement and rolling. Okay, so I'm just going to follow this X shape. And I'm going to let my left leg slide towards my right leg. And my left arm slide around my head towards my right arm. So get this little side bend as I reach the left side of the body to the right side. And then keep reaching those limbs to the right and let it curl me into a little ball on my side. Pause for a moment. And then, right, like opening, like a bud, coming back out, reaching for the side bend. Right, so my limbs are reaching to the right. And then letting the left leg and the left arm slowly come back to that X. And then the other side, right, sliding the right leg to the left leg, right arm to the left arm, and finding that nice side bend that stretch through the side body and letting your breath help you find it, feel it, soften it, expand it. And then just gently rolling, right? Let the movement of the limbs roll you onto your side, curling it in on yourself. And then again, like a blossom opening, extending the limbs, extending out into your side bend, reaching long through that right side of the body, and then letting the limbs come back into that nice wide X. And one more time to the right, sliding the limbs to the right. Let the limbs pull you onto your side, curling in on yourself. Then extending and letting the reach of the arms as you roll onto your back, right? So you find a side bend in motion. And then extend into your X. Other side again, right limbs reach, slide across to the left side. Side bend starts to rotate, limbs come in, knees come in, elbows come in, roll in on yourself. And then extend, right, the right leg away from the right arm. A nice long reach, longer breath. And then slowly come back to your X. Okay, so I'm bending my right leg, right arm, bringing my knee towards my elbow, and I'm just going to put my right foot on the floor and press into that foot. Send that right arm up to the ceiling, pull that right arm up to the ceiling and over to the left hand, but still in its X. Reaching past the left hand. Right, so I'm rolling onto that left shoulder, onto that outer left hip, and keep the right foot on the floor. Keep turning away from the floor, behind you, towards the floor in front of you. And then slowly roll yourself back down and extend your right arm and leg. And the left arm and leg. Step onto that left foot, left arm reaches for the ceiling. As you press into that left foot, turn the pelvis. Let the left arm reach and pull the ribs into a twist. Reaching past that right arm. Good. Again, letting the pelvis turn, but feel the back of the pelvis move forward just to get a little more space in that front hip, especially on that left side. And then slowly just roll yourself back down onto the ground and extend that left leg. One more time, bend. Step into that right foot, reach that right arm up to the ceiling, up and over to the left. Good. This time maybe come up on your toe tips. So the thighs reaching back towards the wall behind you as the pelvis is reaching forward, returning forward. Good. And maybe you can even slide the toe tips up towards the buttocks, up towards the right shoulder. Good. We've done this before. So if the knee can't do virasana, You can just curl the toes under and just play with reaching the leg back, reaching the right leg back. And if you can, tuck those right toes under and maybe just lower towards a variation of Virasana. Right, maybe the knee's up in the air, maybe the knee comes down, and then release. And this time, let the right leg pull back and down to its corner to bring you back onto your back. Other side, bending left leg. Pausing with the knee bent. And then stepping into that left foot, left arm reaches up and over. Like turning the pelvis, turning the ribs to the right. Come up onto the left toe tips. Then play with what feels right. Pelvis keeps moving forward as that left thigh reaches back. So the movement's more in the front of the hip. Lower back stays long. And then maybe slide the toes towards the buttocks or towards the left shoulder and just slowly lower towards a Virasana. That feels like too much. Play with what is available. Maybe the foot stays on the floor. You come more into a squat shape. Then turn the pelvis again to the right. Uncurl those left toes and let the left leg slide behind you to bring you back onto your back. Left leg leads. Okay, just pause for a moment. Good, and then bend your knees. And let's roll to the side. And come up to sit. Okay. All right, so on hands and knees, palms under shoulders, knees under hips. Just curling the toes under. Just shifting forward and back. Letting a little weight come onto the feet, spreading the toes. Good. If you can, feel the sitting bones stay up, or rather than tucking the sitting bones towards the heels, keep the sitting bones moving back and slightly up, right? Just to open up the space between sitting bones and back of thigh. And then press into the feet, send your weight forward. And past your fingers. So you feel as your weight comes forward, more weight in the finger pads, more weight in the webbings of the fingers, different engagement in the shoulders, and then push back. Put some weight in the feet and push forward. And push back. And just feeling that weight shift from the feet to the hands. Again, feeling the sitting bones move straight back. So there's a little sense of kind of opening or lengthening the pelvic floor as you go back, right? Rather than engaging it to tuck under. Forward and back. This time I'm just going to step my right foot as I come forward outside of the right hand. Then maybe walk that left knee back. Good, keep the knee on the floor. Maybe come up onto the fingertips. If you need blocks, use those. And look forward and up. So the hips come down and forward. Again, we're opening inner thigh, groin, front of that left hip. And even press into that left foot a little bit. Send the sacrum forward. Good, and then shift right knee back. Shift weight back. Left foot comes forward outside of the left hand. And up on fingertips. Let the sacrum come forward. So the base of the pelvis moves forward to get the front of the right hip, groin, inner thigh. Lifting the breastbone as the hips get lower. Good, hands down and shift back. Okay, so toes under, let's just come up into downward dog for a moment. Bending the knees slightly, lifting again, the sitting bones slightly towards the ceiling. Right, almost lifting the sitting bones up off the backs of the thighs. And then keep lifting the sitting bones as you send the thighs back. Okay, take feet just a little bit wider, and I'm just going to take my right or my left ankle, wrap it around my right back of foot. Just hook it on there. And I'm going to draw my hips back towards that right side of the mat. And a little opening in the back of the lower leg. And just notice where your weight is on your right foot. Maybe rolling a little towards the little toe side of the foot. And a little towards the big toe side of the foot. Just different parts of the back of the leg. Notice if the tailbone wants to curl towards the floor. Notice where your support is. And then left leg comes back to the left side of the mat. Right leg across the back of the left leg, like crossing the ankles. Right leg behind. And pulling your weight to the left side of the mat. So as you pull your hips back and left, reach that right arm forward. Right hip away from right hand. Again, feeling your weight on the little toe side of that left foot. Maybe shifting towards the big toe side of the foot. How does that affect your weight and your shoulders, your support? Sole of the foot, the calf, back of the leg, sitting bones, belly, and right foot back. And just downward dog, simple downward dog, noticing where you stand in your feet. Noticing where you stand in your hands. Good. From here, right foot forward to the outside of that right hand. And up on fingertips, let the hips drop. Looking forward. And sitting bones get lower. Sacrum moves forward to come under the ribs. Any amount. Maybe even shifting forward by pushing forward from the back foot. And then shifting your weight back onto the ball of the foot. Forward, maybe onto those left toes. Back onto the ball. And forward. And back. And downward facing dog. Other side, left foot outside of the left hand. Hips drop. And hips low. Reaching back through that right heel. Good, and then shift forward onto those right toe tips. And shift back. And shift forward. And back. One more. Forward. And back. Good, hands to the floor. Downward facing dog. Good, lift your hips high up and let's walk the feet to the hands. Bend your knees, fold over your legs and round up to stand. Just reaching the arms forward. And so a little bit of rounding. So the lower spine is going to stay somewhat neutral and letting the upper spine round. Maybe the head even drops slightly. And then try to extend the upper back, lift the eyes and look forward. So you feel the shoulder blades move towards each other just a little. And then let the shoulder blades spread as the upper back rounds. One more, shoulder blades in as there's an extension in the spine, breastbone lifts. Thoracic spine slides forward, eyes lift and round. And from that slightly round shape, so maybe the head stays more neutral. I'm just going to take that right arm and reach it out to the side of the room and back towards the back of the mat. The pelvis can follow, eyes can follow. Come forward, slightly round shape. Other side, left arm travels out to the side and back. And forward. And right arm out to the side and back. Eyes follow the hand. and forward. Again, pelvis is going to follow. So your feet, the weight through your feet is also going to shift. Left arm out and back and forward. Again, slightly round shape. This time taking the arms up into a Y shape. Lifting the breastbone. So lower spine stays somewhat neutral. The upper spine finds the movement. And then come back into the round shape. Round shape, upper spine. And then the Y shape. And then round. One more. Y shape. Good. And round. One more time. Out to the side with the right arm. Again, finding the memory of both as you reach. And back to the center and out to the left and back. Eyes follow. So the whole spinal column moves. Good. Back to center. So again, round this time right arm lifts. Extension through left side. Right side's following, left side's following. Right arm's moving. Round, left arm up, extending. Again, try to keep the lower spine somewhat neutral. Left arm down, right arm up. And so I'm going to take the arm up and again, take the arm back from that upward trajectory as the right arm reaches back to the back of the room. Eyes turn and follow. Right arm moves up and forward. Left arm moves up. Again, finding that extension. And then take the arm all the way over. Big arc over towards the back of the mat. Eyes follow. Left arm up. Maybe the eyes follow up. And forward. One more time. Right arm up. Eyes follow. All the way back. Ribs follow. Pelvis follows. Right arm up and forward. Left arm up and back and up and forward. And arms down. Just standing and notice. Okay, hands to the floor. Step back to downward dog. Good, knees to the floor. Okay, so little contralateral movement, stabilizers. So the right arm reaches forward on the mat. Right, so I'm extending the arm, the fingertips are on the floor, and that left knee comes forward and into the chest. Left toes can even still be on the floor, just for stability. And then anchoring that right knee, left hand, as I then extend left leg back and up, right arm forward and up. Still lifting. Left thigh, right arm, right lower belly, left upper ribs. And down to the floor. Left hand slightly forward, right knee into the ribs. Good. Feeling that left knee, left foot, right hand on the floor, and then extend the limbs. Right leg back, left arm forward. Right, feeling the limbs off the floor, supporting that engagement from, again, right ribs, belly, left lower belly, and down. And switch. Left knee up, right hand forward, and extend. And down, and switch. Right leg back, left arm forward and up. And down. Slight change. So same initiation. Right hand forward, left knee up. So as I extend, now I'm going to bend the left leg. Reach the heel to the ceiling. Bring that right hand back. And try to bring the right fingertips to the left heel. And lift the left heel into the right fingers. And release. Again, left fingers forward, right thigh up. Again, finding that slight round or preparation as you bring the thigh in. And then keeping that sense of lift as you extend. Bending the right leg, keeping that sense of lift. Left hand comes around. Find that right heel. Lift the heel into the hand. extend, and down. Switch sides, right hand forward, left knee in. Again, letting that just widen the belly, widen the back. So as you then extend, belly and back stay wide. As you bend the left leg, bring that right arm back. Belly and back stay wide. And extend and down. Left hand forward, right thigh in towards the ribs. Feel that stability in the hands on the floor, hand and knee on the floor. Extend. Good. Right leg bends, left hand back. Lift that right foot into the left hand. And extend. And down. Yay. Okay. So just a little bit of turning the fingertips out to the side of the room and just shift your weight right and left. Good. And maybe even just think of as you shift, as if you could spread the shoulder blades and shift the ribs at the same time. All right, so I'm shifted to the right. Shoulder blades are almost in towards the spine, but then spread the shoulder blades. Let the back round and go over. Shoulder blade into the spine on the left side especially. Okay, as if I'm just throwing a ball back and forth. Goes up and over, up and over. And then taking fingertips towards the knees and just play a little bit with squeezing shoulder blades together, spreading shoulder blades apart. Draw them towards the spine and away and towards and away and towards and away. A little bit of forward and back movement, following what feels right. Okay. Hands forward. All right, so knees come a little closer together, and I'm just going to take my left knee, you can see it, and internally rotate the leg. So I'm just kicking that left foot out to the side and bring it in. Other side, right foot kicks out. So my tailbone might swing to the right, and that's fine. Come to center. Maybe try to keep the tailbone a little still and let it follow at the end as that left foot kicks out to the side. And center, just to feel what the body's response is to the leg. Right? Can you separate them and then let the tailbone follow? And then maybe just do one more each side where you really let the tailbone follow. So again, there's a little bit of a side bend. So as I take that right foot out, tailbone to the right, right side of the waist gets nice and engaged, left side gets long, and the other side. Okay, and then let's add an element. So left foot kicks out to the side. And this I'm just gonna, so my left hand, left knee stay on the floor. Right leg extends to the back of the mat. Turn the right leg out, right foot flat on the floor. And then right arm up to the ceiling. And take that right arm overhead. Good. Long stretch, long reach from the right hand to the right arm, maybe even right arm tips towards the floor. So again, there's that side bend through the waist, through the outer hip. And then right arm up to the ceiling, and similar to what we did standing, rounding the back, but I'm going to let that right hand come just towards the left hand. And then extending right arm up to the ceiling. And rounding. And extending. And rounding. And extending. One more, rounding. And extending. So this time as I round, I'm going to put my right hand on the floor, but keep rounding. Right, so pressing into the hands, lifting and spreading the back body. And I'm going to just shift forward and come onto my right toe tips, right fingertips, right toe tips. And maybe slide that right leg back behind me towards the left side of the room.
And just a little front hip, side hip. And if it feels right, I'm just going to let that right leg slide, bringing that left buttocks towards the heel. And then pull everything together to come back up. Good, let the left knee and right foot slide away from each other, coming into a squat on that left side. And then pull everything together to come back up. One more. Again, do what feels good. And then come back to neutral, knees together. So other side. Right foot kicks out to the side. So right hand, right knee stays on the floor, left leg straightens to the back of the mat. Turn the foot flat to the floor, left arm up. And left arm overhead, even draping towards the floor. Feels totally different on this side. Left arm up to the ceiling. And the rounding, right, the lower spine stays a little more neutral as the upper spine finds more movement. Rounding, reaching the fingers towards the right hand. Left arm up, little extension. And notice as you round, the back gets wide, shoulder blades spread. Left shoulder blade even turns away from the right one. As the arm comes up, shoulder blades just naturally come in. One more wide. And narrow with the shoulder blades. Left hand down to the floor. So the spine again is just lifting and turning to the right. Back is nice and wide. Again, if it feels good, come onto the left toe tips. Take the left leg towards the right side of the room. Bending that right leg, coming into a Vajrasana as you reach that left leg away. Pull the left leg in to come up and slide and come in, not quite a pigeon. Slide and come in. And back to neutral. Take the knees wide, toes together. This child's pose for a moment, something neutral. Walk the hands forward. Good. Invite your breath wherever it is wanted. Even allowing the breath to find the pelvic floor. Then walking the hands back. Plant your sitting bones. Roll yourself up to sit. Okay. Blocks. Okay, so blocks are actually going to be towards the back. Now let me show you where we're going to go. So I'm going to take my left foot forward first, just so you can see. Left foot forward. So the right knee stays back. Doesn't have to be that far back. And I'm going to put my block inside of my right foot. High height. And just for a moment shift. Well, actually come up onto my knees. My left foot and my right knee. And right knee is just slightly forward, more under the hip. And I'm just going to let my weight shift forward. So I'm more in a squat on my left side, lunge on my right side. It's like a jousting lunge. And shift back. And shift forward. And shift back. One more time. Shift forward. And shift back. And so now my right leg is back, but I want to play with bringing my left arm back towards the block. Maybe just trace it out. Feel that. Right arm up to the ceiling. And I'm not going forward very far, right? It's more that I'm getting heavy through that right foot. Sacrum moves forward tiny bit, spine lifts, chest lifts. And then come up, back up to kneel. We'll do that a couple times. You can take your right foot out to the side or even in, right? That slight in. So it's behind the left foot slightly. And then again, let's take right fingers back to the block, left arm up. Sitting bones move forward. Tailbone moves forward, breastbone up. And come up, we're just touching into it. And then one more time. Right fingers back, left arm up, sitting bones forward. Press into that right foot. And come up. Good, hands down, shift onto the knees. And let's do the other side. So, right foot forward. Again, you can have the left foot slightly to the right side of the mat, just for balance, if that helps you. And come up to kneel. Shifting forward. Right, a little bit of a jousting lunge. So letting your weight come to the ball of the foot, but the heel stays down. Again, getting into that lower leg. And back and forward. Tailbone stays heavy and curls forward. And back. You can take the arms forward when you're back, just to round. Right, keep that sense of round as you come forward. And then extend, but keep that sense of round. One more time. Back as you round. Forward as you extend. Maybe one more. Back. This time arms up as you extend. And block, if you didn't already, put it on the inside of that left foot. Opposite hand to foot. Right hand goes back to the left foot. Sitting bones forward, tailbone forward, breastbone up. And come up. Same thing, just a sense of rounding when you're up. And then as you come back, right fingertips down. Keep that sense of rounding as you fall into extension. Sitting bones forward, tailbone forward, and curling up towards the pubis. Pubis up towards the belly. And come up. One more. Right hand back. Left arm up. Good, and come up. Hands to the floor. Knees together. Yay. So, hands on your mat. Just a simple, tiny baby cat-cow. Tiny baby. Initiating from your rib cage to start, or shoulder blades together. Shoulder blades wide and together. And wide, and then initiating from your pelvis. Again, move as slow as you need to move. Sitting bones lift slightly. Lower back wide, belly wide. Sitting bones start to tuck, tailbone starts to tuck. Top of the sacrum moves back. Lower spine lifts towards the ceiling. Belly empty. And just notice the movement, the breath, the relationships now, pelvis to ribs to neck to head to breath. Good. Downward facing dog. And even noticing here, some of us come up and the tailbone pulls towards the feet. Some of us come up and the sitting bones push towards the ceiling. Can you find, again, maybe just a baby cat-cow here, just so you feel what can unhook, what is extraneous effort that may not need to be there, what helps you come more into your balance, right? We have different body shapes. What helps you relate your pelvis to your ribs, to your neck, to your head, or your pelvis to your legs, to your feet? Good. And knees to the floor. Good. Knees wide, toes together. Child's pose one more time. Okay, hands back under your shoulders and round yourself up to sit. Okay. So 2 blocks by your feet. So you can either have the toes under or the tops of the feet on the floor, whatever helps you engage the legs so that you're supported from the base, from the feet up. Okay, so we are going to play with a little ustrasana, moving in and out of ustrasana. So I'm just going to shift forward. Right, so I'm pressing into my feet to shift forward and up, right? So I'm using the legs. Let's come all the way up. Tailbone down and slightly forward. And shift back. Slow, slow, slow. And then shift forward. Again, notice what happens with does the tailbone lift and the lower back do the work? Or does the tailbone grip down and the lower belly work? See if you can find the middle ground. Back and up. Just need our leg strength for this next move. Okay, so I'm going to let my back round. Fingertips to the floor. Again, imprinting. And you can use, if you need more cushion under your knees, take it. And blocks by your feet if you need your blocks, or you can turn your toes under. So rounding. And then I'm just going to bring my hands back. Let's start with the hands on the block. Keep that round. And again, just pressing the thighs forward. So not quite to Ustrasana. And then maybe just move a little bit further towards Ustrasana. And then back out. Hands forward, round. Then tailbone curling towards the pubis, pubis towards the belly. Keep that memory, hands back towards the blocks. Press into the feet, into the shins. Move the thighs forward. So I'm putting neutral and then maybe go a little further. Tailbone curling to pubis, pubis to navel. Long through the side body. Back up one more time. Hands forward. So you can curl the toes under and just bring your hands to your heels if you would like to try that instead of the blocks. Or you can just play with cat-cow. Or up on your shins. And pressing into the feet as the hands come back. Let the hands find the heels. Let the thighs press forward. Let it come from the legs. Legs, pelvic floor, lower belly, then the chest. And then slowly come out. Good. On hands and knees. So just a simple, let's curl the tailbone to the right. So the right hip pulls up towards the right shoulder and just look back towards the right hip. Again, doesn't have to be big, can be quite small. Head and tailbone come to center. And then the opposite, let the tailbone turn towards the left. Maybe it's just a simple rotation. Small side bend, maybe there's more side bend. Hip comes to the shoulder, shoulder to the hip. Eyes to the hip. And center. and right. Slowing the movement down and center and left. Center. Okay. All right, so last time, downward dog. And this time, walk the feet to the hands. Good, bend your knees and round up to stand. So legs are heavy. Again, tailbone is dropping. So the skin of the back is sliding towards the buttocks, down the back of the legs, towards the heels as the front body is becoming more energized, moving away from the feet as you come up to stand. Okay, right, let's turn facing so you're sideways on the length of your mat. So we can use the length of the mat and come into just one standing pose. So let's take feet wide. Block if you need it. Hands on hips. Yeah, have your blocks if you need them. Good, bending that right leg, externally rotating that right leg. Good, and as you straighten the legs, keeping the hips somewhat balanced with the floor, and let the feet almost pull towards each other, just so we get this engagement of the inner legs and the support through the center line of the body. Arms out to the side. Keep drawing the feet towards each other. Just going to tip over the right leg. Right hand shin or block. Left arm up to the ceiling. Good, and let's just take one rounding, right? So left hand comes towards the right hand, rounding that back. And then left arm to the ceiling. So maybe there's a little bit more extension, but the memory of that rounded shape is there. So there's width and length. Maybe press the feet now away from each other and let that left arm come alongside the ear. Good. And then let that right arm bend and just drape over that right leg. And then re-straighten the leg, left arm up. Either press the feet apart or pull them towards each other. Inhale to come up. Good, feet parallel. Pause, breathe. Feel how your body responded. Bend that left knee, turn the knee and the foot out to the left. Good. As you straighten the leg, pulling the feet towards each other. It'll help us kind of leaning, right, instead of falling into the joints, right? We want to support the joints, especially through that transition. Arms out to the side. And as we tip, this is a big transition. Left hand down, right arm up. Good. Maybe pressing the feet away from each other. Maybe there's more weight in the ball of that left foot, especially if you hyperextend. Right arm comes alongside the ear. Again, supporting that extension or that reach of the arm from the legs. And then maybe bend the left arm, just drape over the weeping willow over that left leg. And straightening the left arm, lifting that right arm. Pull the legs towards each other to come up. Turn the feet parallel.
Lower the arms down. Okay, we have time. Let's do one more. And then we'll come down. So block, again, block if you need it, right, for Ardha Chandrasana. And without a block, it's just a different experience. Okay, so smaller triangle maybe, turn that right knee and foot out. And I'm actually going to turn the foot not all the way out, just something to play with, right? So sometimes nice to vary. Turn the foot maybe halfway. So it's not all the way out. Extend, pull the feet towards each other. Arms out, tipping towards triangle pose. And then bending that right knee. I'm going to step the left foot in, right hand forward. Same setup, right hand right under the shoulder to the outside of that right foot. Left arm up. Right, just having that right leg internally rotated a little bit. Not such a deep external rotation. Sometimes just helps widen the back body and easier to find balance. Then pull the feet away from each other. And then that same thing, maybe, again, just play. Maybe that left arm goes overhead along the ear, maybe. And then maybe the right arm bends, draping over that right leg, maybe. Maybe it's just a curiosity, maybe not. Straighten the right arm, lift, bend the knees, step back to triangle, and come up. Keep parallel. And other side. So again, I'm going to bend the left knee and not turn out quite so much. Right, so it's not such an extreme external rotation in the hip joint. Pull the feet towards each other, tipping to my triangle. Good, bending the left knee, right foot in, left hand forward, left hand outside of the left foot. Right leg up. Then this time spread the feet or move the feet away from each other. Maybe the right arm alongside the ear. And do what feels right. Maybe bend the left arm, drape over the left leg. And straighten, right arm up. Bend, come back through triangle pose. And inhale to come up. Good. Okay, so feet wide, toes slightly in, heels slightly out, folding over both legs, Prasarita, Uttanasana, and let the hands walk forward. So the legs are still vertical. Again, letting the breath explore the body. And finding clarity without a lot of extraneous effort. Okay, right hand stays where it is. Maybe left hand comes to outer right leg. Little rotation. Belly to the right. Left hand can grab by the knee, by the foot, whatever feels easy, doable. Whatever allows you to stay long through side body, back body, front body. Left hand comes back alongside the right hand. Right hand to the outer left leg. Turning the belly to the left.
Softening in the feet, spreading the feet. Spreading the feet within themselves and maybe the feet away from each other, just gently, just to give some direction so there's less of searching for stability. And then lift. The right hand comes by the left hand. And walk the hands towards the feet, still letting the spine sink towards the floor, settle, hang towards the floor. Maybe just a nodding. Couple yeses, couple no's. And walk the hands forward, lift the shoulders, walk the feet towards each other. Good, bend your knees and just hang for a moment over your legs. Letting the weight of the ribs rest on the thighs. Again, feeling the support of the floor. So finding where your stability is, not necessarily just leaning in it, but being supported by it, engaging with it, responding to it. And let's bring the knees to the floor. Okay, so let's actually come to the wall. So I'm just going to bring one hip to the wall, left hip lay down on my left shoulder, roll onto my back, and legs up the wall. Good. If you still feel like your tailbone is quite elevated and most of your lower back is on the floor, maybe scoot a little bit away from the wall so that you feel more of the pelvis on the floor and there's less weight on the lower back. Okay. Bend arms alongside the body. And let's go ahead and roll up and down, maybe once or twice. So bend the knees, feet flat on the wall. Good, feeling the weight of the feet kind of sink into the wall, and as if I could pull down towards the floor. Right, think sticky feet, pull slightly down towards the floor, and letting the upper arms and shoulder blades sink back into the floor. So as I press my feet into the wall, I just want to play with a little posterior tilt. So letting the lower back come to the wall, to the floor, tailbone towards the ceiling, tailbone towards the pubis. So I'm in a little posterior tilt, pulling down with the feet and start to lift the knees and the shins, the thighs, staying in that posterior tilt. So as the thighs lift, it lifts the pelvis, lower spine, middle spine. I want my legs to have more focus so that my spine has less. I'm just going to walk my feet a little further up the wall. I started too low with my feet. Again, I want the legs to be more of the strength so that the tissue around the spine has an opportunity to spread. Right, as the weight shifts onto a certain point, the weight really spread into the floor. I'm just going to roll back down, laying the vertebra down, feeling them spread away from each other, top, bottom. Maybe the tissue on either side spread away from the spine. As I roll down, noticing the parts that roll more easily. Noticing the parts that come down like a section or a few vertebrae. Not trying to change it, just soften around that awareness. And letting the pelvis relax, the legs relax. Straighten the legs. Good. One more time, feet on the wall. I'm starting with the feet a little higher than the last time. Feet press into the wall, pull down to the floor. Again, little posterior tilt. Right, ideally it should just happen as the knees and the thighs lift, pulls the tailbone up. Pulls the spine up. Just enough focus for support or stability so that other parts don't have to overwork. And slowly, slowly roll down. This is really interesting dance. Trying to find initiation and engagement, but not too much. To overengage, overstimulate, or exhaust the system. And finding rest. So let's bend the knees even more. Bring the feet close to the pelvis. Let the knees turn out, toes turn out, and let the legs rest on the wall. Here, as if you were in a squat. If you want to use your elbows on the floor, right, elbows wide, hands on either side, outer side of the knee or the leg for support. If the stretch feels too much. Right, so finding that balance between engagement and ease. But being able to really rest and allow and soften. And when the system is ready, engage from there. It's a very interesting dance and one that I struggle with a lot, that I tend to move until exhausted and then rest. And then move until exhausted and rest. It's very interesting to find, this is a lot of what we do in restorative class, is try to find that initiation and the rest and almost keep them very close together. Settle, small initiation, settle back, small initiation. So now let's take the legs up the wall. We'll just do one. So again, you may need to slide
away from the wall, but let's just take that right leg, bend it, turn it out, externally rotate, and bring the ankle just above the knee on the thigh. And then I'm going to bend that left leg, left foot to the wall. So I'm in a little bit of a figure four, modified figure four with the left foot on the wall. Not looking for a big sensation here, although I do feel it. And so let's play with that, the sense of really settling, really letting the tissue get soft, the outer hip, the back of the pelvis, the lower back, inner thighs, pelvic floor. Let it all get quieter. Right? Let it sink into the rest cycle. And I'm just going to play with turning my tailbone to the left. And I'm going to think about it like drop into the rest cycle and initiate a super small turn to the left and drop back into rest and then initiate turn left. Settle, sink, soften, turn left. Small movements, so the engagement is small. And there's that, a little bit of an oscillation, but it's that weaving. A feeling rest cycle, initiation cycle. Rest cycle, initiation cycle. And the rest cycle becomes important because it allows the tissue to feel what's happening. It allows it to respond to what's happening rather than react to what's happening. And then micro movements slowly come back towards center. You may not have gone very far, and that's okay. And let's just do a couple breaths or a couple cycles to the right. So turning tailbone. Again, first let everything settle. All the tissue around the pelvis, lower back, inner thighs. And turn tailbone to the right. It's a very small movement. But in this area of our body, it has a big effect. And again, settle, rest, and slowly turn. Settle back. Slowly turn. Micro movements. Settle. Initiate. Settle, 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 settle. Initiate. And now let's come back to center. Slow, slow, slow. Same process. And right foot on the wall. Straighten the legs. Then that left leg externally rotate, left ankle on that right thigh just above the knee. And bend that right leg. And letting everything settle. The weight of the spine, the torso, all the organs inside the abdomen, ribs, pelvis. Allowing that weight to help sink the tissue towards gravity, or with gravity towards the floor. Okay, a little bit of movement. Settle. Slight movement to the right. Tailbone turning to the right. Settle, slight turn to the right.
tiny movements, tiny initiation. Rest, initiate, rest, initiate. And then let's slowly come back to center, same process, rest, initiate, soften, soften, turning to the left, soften, move, soften, move, soften. Again, your cadence might be very different, slower. Note if it's faster. If it's faster, maybe slow it down. If you tend to move fast, slow down. And slowly, slowly come back to center. And left foot on the wall, straighten the legs just for a moment. Supported by the floor, the wall. Bend your knees, roll to your side. Let's come roll, lay flat on the floor just for a minute. Out of time. If you want to put something under your thighs, you can. Just feeling this very neutral shape, just feeling yourself held by the floor. Feeling the vastness of the earth under you and the support of that. The immense shape, topography, quality of the earth. As you feel held by the earth, just a sense of connection to the sun, the rays of the sun, the brightness, the warmth. And having those two elements, you feel them above you and underneath you, only feel them within you. The density, the mass, the beauty of the earth. That dynamic, vibrant heat, light of the sun. Feeling some movement come into your fingers and toes, into your arms and legs. Bending your knees, rolling onto your side, up to sit. With your body, breath. Aware of the other women